Excuse me. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I want to welcome everybody here again in the audience, and we're going to have a roll call of the commissioners by Suzanne. Present.
Commissioner Capurro. Present. Commissioner Catlin. Here. Commissioner Howell. Here. Commissioner Coburn.
Who?
Coburn was absent.
Yeah, he's absent with excuse, out of the country.
Commissioner Macbeth.
Here.
Commissioner Moran.
Here.
Commissioner Rain.
Present.
Commissioner Wallace. Here.
Next item of business, we're going to have a Pledge of Allegiance led by the director.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item of business, we're going to roll call of the county advisory boards. Stand up and so Suzanne can hear your name.
Ken Wellington, Elko County. Paul Dixon, Clark County.
Rex Flowers, Washoe County. Gil Yana, Carson City.
Corey Lotta, Lincoln.
Tom Castanelli, Humboldt.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to make your announcement?
All right, if anybody wants to speak on any item, if you could please bring a card forward before you're ready to speak. I do have a few cards already. Anybody else that wants to speak at some point, please bring. There should be some yellow cards up here on the podium. If you could fill one out and hand it over to Mr. Haskins there in the blue shirt. Where are they? Are they outside? Oh, outside on the table, I'm sorry.
Okay. The next order of business are member announcements. Any items any commissioner want to bring up? Commissioner Macbeth?
Yes, I wanted to mention that, I'm not sure the exact date, towards the end of August. Was it, what date was it, Paul? 25th. August 25th. We dedicated the shooting park here in Clark County, our new facility on the extreme north end of town, north end of Decatur. And yeah, it was quite a group showed up. It was, I would say, 200 to 300 people at least. It was a very impressive showing, and there were a number of folks from the department that were there that I met. Myself, former Commissioner Lurie, I believe Commissioner Coburn was there. Charlie, I don't know if you were there. You didn't make it that. Yeah, I didn't see it. There were so many people. I didn't want to. I wasn't sure who all made it, but I did. You know, Bruce is rather tall, so I saw him sticking his head above the crowd. But anyway, all of the our congressional delegation. I don't think Representative Titus was there, but Berkeley, Reed, Ensign, a number of the state legislators and county commissioners were present and all spoke. While I didn't get a lot of time to do any tour of the facility, you could see that since the last time we were there, it was had substantially progressed, and saw our department building from the outside, and it looks very impressive. So anyway, it's obviously going to be a very, very top-notch facility, a great addition to Southern Nevada, and available for all Nevadans, and not only that, but I think it's going to be a very substantial tourist attraction. It's going to draw a number of the shooting sports folks that participate in various competitions, and as well as law enforcement and on all kinds of different things, different activities centered around shooting and archery, and so I just wanted to mention that we had participated in that. The department made their showing, and I'm very excited for that, to go forward.
Thank you. Any other commissioner with any items or announcements? Commissioner Rain?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some more items. Had a, it's kind of a comment and a question, kind of all in one. Is, I hear things, and one thing I don't understand is we were talking yesterday. We saw the information item on the big game release plan, and then I'm given to understand that some personnel think that part of this plan is to be implemented before it's approved by the commission. Because it's part of our commission policy that the commission has to approve this, and I just wanted to make sure that NRS states the director is going to go ahead and carry out all of our policies. So I just wanted to make sure that it's going to be properly approved first. Thank you.
Well, to be quite honest with you, we've taken a look at that policy, and I've asked the RDAG to take a look at whether or not it's a violation of, or outside, and not a violation, but an outside of what the policy role of the commission, as well as the operational role of the department. If you take a look at the upland game plan, for instance, it's put together, it's an operational plan that you provide some guidance and, but not approve. So we're taking a look at that. We'll have it on the December agenda. I don't really think we need to go any further at this point, but one of the things I was asked to do is take a look at the policies and the procedures. What's the commission role? What's the department's role? Because over time, things have kind of got blurred. I haven't really talked to staff whether there's anything that's planned between now and in December. But actually, the operational decision on trout plants, release plans, those kinds of things is a department purview, not a commission purview. So if we I'll certainly call the chairman if we get to a point where there's something that needs to happen as far as this release plan, that we're running out of time, that we need to do something. We'll certainly have a discussion on that. But what I wanted to do is have our DAG produce and provide and have discussion with New and David with Bruce, Brian, to kind of work that out, and there's been discussions already.
So you mean that this policy, you're not going to follow commission policy, or maybe, or
maybe?
Because it's fairly clear to me, but that NRS 501.337 says director shall carry out the policies and regulations of this commission, and then and this has been a policy that's been in there for many, many years, long before I can remember it being on there. It's not something that came up last week. And it's been long-standing. Our history of this commission goes through and approves these things. And we need to follow this precedent as well. Thank you.
Well, maybe you'll have to get to me, and we'll have to, as a commission, get an AG opinion too, so we can do that too.
And I can assure you that all the DAGs are working together on this. We just want to make sure we don't want to be vulnerable. If you've got a policy that's outside of your purview, you guys need to know about that. If we're doing something that's outside of our purview, we need to know about that so that we're not vulnerable on either side. So this is not a vindictive thing on my part. It's just trying to figure out who's on first, quite frankly.
Any other commissioner comments? If not, we'll go to the next order of business is county advisory board's member items. Any county advisory board that wants to bring something to the commission, this time to do it. Seeing none, I'll close that and go to the public comment period, and want to make sure everyone fills out a card if they wish to speak. Commissioner Rain, who do you have on that?
Nobody is specifically stated for public comment. But there's many of them that just say if necessary, or all items. But I don't see anything that say specifically.
Stand up, give your name. Yes.
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to comment here. My name is Buck Barber. I'm the president of the Trout Unlimited organization of Southern Nevada. I'm here representing over 300 members of our local chapter and here on the behalf of the Las Vegas Fly Fishing Club. Also, the president's out of town fishing, so he asked me to come here and help her comment with that. I'm basically here to comment on the general regulation number 371 concerning the proposed action of limiting methods and catch limit and/or catch and release opportunities for Dacey Reservoir, which is in the Kirch Wildlife Management Area. I just want to let you know that our organizations are in favor of anything promoting blue ribbon fisheries, trophy fisheries, to increase the opportunities for everybody to have a chance to maybe catch a bigger fish. The reason the Kirch Wildlife Management Area is of high importance to us is being that it's close to Las Vegas and that we fish all these lakes many times throughout the year. We even have outings out there and do cleanup projects at that Kirch Wildlife Refuge. Most of you probably have heard of Trout Unlimited. We're a large organization. We're mostly on cold water fisheries, but we try to clean things and make things better and keep mining and stuff from polluting streams and whatnot. As the population grows in this area in the future, and the potential population growth of Coyote Springs, which is near that area, we have a good chance of having a high pressure on that fishery in that area. Obviously, there's 3-4 lakes there that you're able to fish, but over the years, the size of the fish have been going down. I mean, you get 1 or 2 fish, and then the lake turns and whatever. So we're just this Dacey Lake of being able to have an opportunity to maybe try to make it a trophy fishery where you have an opportunity to maybe catch it over a 20-inch trout. And, you know, for children and different people, I mean, that's a fish of a lifetime for them. So, I mean, technically we go up to Utah to catch a big fish. You know, some of the lakes like Cummins Lakes and whatnot are just all getting, you know, are not as big fish, you know, and everything's seasonal that way. I mean, 4 years from now, all those lakes will end up maybe being better fishery. But right now, it'd be nice to have one close by because we head to southern Utah and we like to keep the resources in our area. This is why we have a vested interest for this portion of the area, containing a modified regulation action to keep this area in place for future generations. And this is just my comment of the concerns of this. I don't really have much else to comment about. And I thank you for listening to our concerns.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment period and go to the next item of business. Item on the agenda 8, input concerning methods of restoring Nevada's mule deer population. And I put this on the agenda, and I want to make some comments on it and talk to some county boards. And why don't we have Clark County come up first? I've got a couple questions for each of the county boards, so I want you to make them with, you know, real quick and concise, and to see where you're coming from without going into a lot of detail. Clark County, I got a couple of questions for the county board, and I'll tell you the reason why I put this on the agenda. How is the deer population perceived by your county advisory board in your county?
How is it? People have stated kind of the position of the commission here that's been running since I've been on the board, which is they've seen declining deer herds over the years, and they're questioning what has led to some of that declining deer herd population since the highs in the late 80s for the longtime residents here in Vegas. For people like myself who are newer residents, we don't know what the heydays were, but we know that even in the 12 years that I've been hunting here in the Las Vegas Valley type thing, Chairman Lent, that it's clearly, it's year to year and spotty in areas depending on the drought conditions.
Okay. How many deer management areas in your county?
How many what?
Deer management areas.
Deer management areas? I don't know if I know the answer to that question. Commissioner Macbeth, do you know?
I'd say probably about a half a dozen.
Do you know your fondo ratios in each?
Do I know the fondo ratios in my management units? Not the top of my head, but
Okay.
those statistics exist.
And are you concerned, and you think your public's concerned about these?
The people who attend the advisory board meetings, we have not had a discussion particularly on the fondo ratio in Clark County at this point in time.
I was going to ask you, is that acceptable to you? Have you talked to your area biologist on these?
I have talked to the area biologist, Pat Cummins, who does the big game release, and we usually have Steve Kimball and others down there. We've had side discussions. We haven't had an agendized item on this yet, but I started the agendized process based on your request, and when we're through with your questions, I'll say what I've done, sir.
And the next question is, what have you tried to do, and what would you like to do, I guess?
Well, what I've done is I talked to Mike Cox at NDOW, and there's a Western booklet put out here that I think he handed out to some of the commissioners called Habitat Guidelines for Mule Deer. This really goes through and talks in the western United States, what are the factors that have been impacting mule deer populations, and this has representation from Wyoming, Utah, California, a fair amount of the western states that have large mule deer populations for people to do. And I handed this out to my board and told them I wanted them to read this based on your request, come up with some suggestions of what we thought needed to be done, at least in southern Nevada here, that would help with this, and give you some recommendations on that. So right now, from an informational perspective, I've asked my board to read this thing, which I find very good. And if the commission hasn't read this this pamphlet, or this
Yeah, that was my next question. Any suggestions? And this commission is here to help you, and we'll do anything we can to help you in your county and throughout the state to bring back our deer. And it's our cash crop, whether you know it or not. And so that's what this commission is going to do, and that's why I want to ask those questions, and that's why I asked all the counties.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And the last thing I would put is this booklet purposely probably doesn't go into predator and predation issues, but we've had a lot of discussion on the commission over the last year on that, so I feel my board is fairly well educated, but they needed to be educated on the other factors that we've kind of talked around the side with, and this booklet does a very good job of that, and so I would recommend to the board getting this. And the other question I would have is that for the cabs that didn't get this booklet, I would ask that the commissioner or NDOW figure out a way, I know there's an associated cost, to get at least one copy and copyright ability for people to make copies and hand out to their board members, okay?
It's really with your area biologist. Okay, thank you. I'm going to call Washoe up next. And I did get some positive, I think 3 counties did report positive. They put this on their agenda. How's the deer population perceived in your county advisory board?
We know that our populations are low. We also know that with the urbanization in the southern part of the county and stuff, that we are probably at our maximum carrying capacity.
How many deer management areas in Washoe County?
Management areas, let's see, 011 through 015 is 5. You got 021, 027, 7. We share a part of the Sheldon, I believe that's with Humboldt. We share another part of a unit with Story County, and we share another part of a unit with Carson City. So
Fondo ratios in each, I don't expect you to know them, but do you
actually,
look at
Fondo
those?
ratios are in pretty much right at the state average, just 37. I believe ours are basically 38, 39. We might have one unit that's a little bit less.
And I know, the next question, are you concerned, is your public concern, because you're one of the counties that did respond, you're putting some ideas together in a plan, so I do appreciate that. And have you talked to your area biologist on these?
Actually, we had the staff specialist, the mule deer specialist, Tony Wasley, was at our last meeting, and we're trying to use the department to spearhead our efforts for what we want to do.
Do you have any suggestions for us here as a commission? Because remember, we're here to help you, and we're going to do anything we can in your county and throughout the state. And so we need suggestions from the county advisory boards which way to go. And I know that you're putting a plan together, and I've read that, and so I do appreciate that. And any suggestions, because this commission's taking it seriously, and we're going to be looking into it, and we want help from the county boards.
Well, in our plan, as you noted, we are going for habitat and repairing issues. Those are non-political fields that we can address. Things like wild horses, urbanization, global warming, these all are involved. Drought is involved. You know, we have all the different issues. We have the predators are involved. Predators are subject to a predator management program. That's why we're not addressing that in what we're doing. We feel there's monies being devoted to that. We do have 2 projects in Washoe County. Those can be built on or moved to other areas with the commission's help and approval.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
How about Elko?
Good morning. For the record, Ken Wellington, Elko County.
I don't know if I remember, there was 3 counties, I don't have them right in the hand. How's the deer population perceived by your advisory board in Elko County?
Oh, obviously, we've had a decline in Elko County, and this is our, probably the number 3 income to Elko County is sportsmen and hunting for Elko County.
How many deer management areas do you have?
Oh, we're over 15. We've got the most, I think, in any county in the state.
I don't know offhand, I just, fawn-doe ratios in each, are you keeping track of those?
Are you kidding me? I can tell you that we have areas that are up and we have areas that are down. You know, we've looked at, and we talk to our biologists come to every meeting.
Perfect.
So we talk to ours all the time. Every member on our board speaks with them.
And I assume the deer population are not acceptable to your advisory board then, and you'd like to do something about it?
Yes, we would.
Perfect, perfect. Any suggestions you want to give to us?
Well, what we're kind of doing is we've taken it upon ourselves to kind of do some projects prior to coming to you. One of them, we just created a lion for a committee. I did a subcommittee from my board, and I put a couple houndsmen on there. I put other citizens that were sportsmen that were in the audience. I have Kevin Lansford's working with us, another biologist is working, and 2 of my board members. So we're looking at some lion issues in units, specific hunts, and maybe trophy areas to try to entice different lions to those areas. At the same time, we had a suggestion after we made that is to create another subcommittee. So my board wanted to kind of know the direction from you. What's our timeline on this? Because we would like to create a subcommittee, putting biologists on there, a couple more of my board members, more sportsmen involved in it to try to, that's what we're drawing our people to our meetings, because unlike the other meetings, this was our lowest we had, but we're drawing in 22 to 24 people, not counting staff at our meetings.
Perfect,
So,
perfect. Well, we're going to, we're going to do everything we can to help you, okay?
Okay, appreciate that.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Let's have Carson City up here. Not trying to put you on the spot, I'm just trying to see what you're doing, because I'm not sure I got a response from some of the county boards on this agenda item. And I did make, since last summer, I've announced it twice, I'd like county input, and that's why I put it on the agenda in writing. Go ahead, Gil. How's the deer population perceived?
Well, in contrast to what you've heard from some of the other CAB representatives, we came here prepared to talk about the rather large increase in our urban deer herd, which is becoming a real problem with the deer coming into town, coming into Timberline, coming into Lakeview, coming into downtown. And we're worried about, people running into them with their vehicles. They're looking for food. And several of our advisory board members have made some suggestions, particularly Doug Martin. I don't know if he was able to send a comment because he wasn't at our meeting, but I asked him to maybe send one to the department, and the department could get to you. He had several suggestions, one of which was to take advantage of the fact that up in the Tahoe Basin area, there have been a lot of availability of stimulus money for the Forest Service and NDF to do a lot of clearing of some of the understory, and hopefully if we can restore some of the area for better browsing for the deer, we can get them to move back up into the hills and get out of the city. I think they're coming into town because they want water and they want food. There's a lot of grass to eat. There's a lot of bushes and tulips and other things that they like to gnaw on. And if we could give them some better feed up in the hills around outside or to the west of Carson, we can get them out of the residential areas. We have some areas we and Douglas County signed a joint agreement, a letter to the U.S. Forest Service to try to take advantage of keeping some of the gates open up at Spooner Summit. They're setting up a series of 2 gates, and they closed those gates very early in the season, making it very difficult for the hunters to access that winter herd that's up there. And we signed a joint letter asking them to take into consideration closing the second and innermost gate, but keeping the first gate open so hunters can get their vehicles and stuff out of the road and give them a mile or 2 access into the hunting area.
I don't want to stop you short, but I didn't want you to explain your whole plan, and that's something that maybe you can present to the commission what you're doing, because I think those are great ideas. How many deer management areas do you have in your?
Just one.
One? I'm sure you know the buck-doe ratios, and you.
It's pretty low. It's pretty low. We just, there's not a lot of food. There's not a lot of, activity in the deer herd. I mean, what come over the hill from California, especially, in the fall, winter season, is what we see primarily. We have a small residential herd that stays here year-round.
We have a lot of hunters that like to hunt up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's close by, or they go up into Washoe County, up on Duck Hill.
You working with your area biologists on that?
Yes, sir.
They're good. And any suggestions you want from this commission, make sure you put them in writing and tell us, with the deer getting hit, maybe we should recommend building an overpass like we're doing out of Wells, especially on Lakeview Hill.
Yes, sir.
Because that's a big migration into Washoe Valley that didn't get taken into consideration when they built freeways. And so there's things that this commission might be able to do if we know the problem that you're having in your county, and that's why we're going to do everything we can to help you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we got here? Humboldt? Same thing, question to you, Tom. How's deer population perceived by your cab?
Low.
Low? How many deer management areas you got?
I believe 7 was shared.
Fondo ratios in each, are you familiar with them?
I don't have them up by right now, but we're familiar. We go through it. Our biologist comes to every
You're working with your
meeting.
biologist on
Yes.
those? Because you guys have some of the best trophy hunting in the state, I think, in your
Well,
county.
it used to be. I don't know if it's the best anymore, but it used to
Well,
be.
yeah, that's what we're talking about. What have you tried to do, and what would you like us to do?
Well, we have a lot of groups with Chucker Foundation, Mule Deer Foundation, Nevada Muleys. They're doing a lot of work with the department. They have the program, what's the name of the program, with the high school, with the greenhouses. That's a big, it was really a good project for them. They've got greenhouses at Fernley and Lowry, and does Alco have one? I'm not sure. But they're raising shrubs and putting them in these burns. As you know, we've been, not lately, it's been a good year for us this year and last year, but in the past we've been hammered hard by our winter habitat being burned off.
Any suggestions for this commission and what we can do to help you?
Well, I think these rehab projects are major for these mule deer herds. If you could do some rain dances like you did at the beginning of this year, we'll watch those fawn ratios this year and see what happens. If we don't have a tough winter, I think you're going to see the weather and that
Maybe
great
you
spring
can
rain.
start a cloud seeding program or something like that. These are good suggestions.
You know, the good thing is they're talking about stopping some of these cloud seeding programs on the other side of the mountain. It's going to be interesting to see what that does to our state, because it does take out some of the moisture that gets into our state. There's no doubt in my mind. And maybe some of that moisture will get into the center of our state again.
Central Nevada and Eastern Nevada don't want it because then it takes out before it gets to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Who else we have here? Corey? I want to make sure I recognize everybody. How's the deer population? Huh?
For the record, Corey Lytle, Lincoln. We're
Lincoln.
somewhat different from a lot of the other counties in that our population is pretty stable, and we want to stay ahead of the curve. We're having some good successes right now with things, and we just want to stay ahead of it. There's some things kind of off in the distance in the future that don't look real positive, but right now our population is fairly stable.
Working with your area biologist then?
Yes, yeah, he's key to it. We have a pretty good working relationship with him. And not just the endow biologist, we're in close contact with some of the BLM personnel that are local there too. We have a few, and sometimes this is very hard to do, keeping our federal representatives in one spot for more than a couple of years. And so we're working that relationship as well.
Good. Any suggestions for this commission or anything like that?
I apologize this didn't get emailed to you guys. I will be happy to email this. It's kind of a brief proposal that we just kind of threw together in the meeting that we had last week. If you guys can all take a copy if you would like. Things we looked at some quick and dirty things that we can do just in county specific.
Yeah, I don't want to go through them now. I just want to make sure you get them to us.
Yeah, I will be sure and email them to each one of you guys.
Because we want to
Director Mayor.
Get the advisory board's
Cox.
recommendations in there.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Corey. Did I miss any county boards? Just a second, Commissioner. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner. If you want to ask a question of Corey, go ahead.
Thank you. Corey,
Yes.
you say that your deer population is fairly stable at this point in time. I know you get some big deer out of Lincoln County in that.
We try not to advertise that.
Yeah, I understand. In looking at the release program, and of course this doesn't deal with deer, but it appears as if there got to be a problem with some of the other species, though, and that wouldn't affect deer. Most of these projects, quite frankly, involve a fairly substantial release program into Lincoln County.
Yeah, and at this time, like I say, whether it's fires or drought is always an issue, predation is always an issue. With all the issues combined, it's somewhat of a different beast, I guess, in some of our areas. The winter ranges haven't been affected as much, and our fawn crop's fairly healthy. Series and years of progressive drought don't help that, and predation don't help that. But at this time, that they are fairly stable, and I have to credit our biologists. I have to credit our past calves for really trying to fight that. Mule deer is our baby. I mean, at our cab meetings, that's why people show up, is to fight for mule deer.
One other question: How active is Wildlife Services in the Lincoln County area?
They're currently doing, I know they're doing some predation projects in the Delmars for lions. There's a couple of coyote projects specific to areas 23 and 22. They're fairly successfthey there's kind of an unofficial population there that's really avid predator hunters. In Lincoln County, they still run a lot of predator contests. And so those progressively go 6 or 7 weekends out of the wintertime to hunt coyotes and target coyotes and predation. The programs seem to be successful, and we just want to keep building on them.
Okay. Thank you, Corey.
Thanks.
And I didn't miss any county boards on this deer item, did I? Well, this commission's taking this and we're working with the department because we're taking this, this decrease in deer. We don't have the answers, but we're asking everybody for help, and the county advisory boards, we're trying to get ideas, and the ideas are coming off the wall from A to Z, and that's great, whether it's overpasses or translocating deer or importing them from Utah or whatever it is. We're looking at all the ideas, and so my message to the cabs is we have to do something because of this deer loss. Now, whether we can do something or not, I don't know. And so we're saying either get on board or step aside. This commission's going to be looking into it, and we want your input, and we'll be working with the department on this shortage of deer and to see if there is anything we can do. You know, I don't know if we can make weather or anything, but we're looking into it with the department, and we want any help we can get for the county boards. But if we start coming up with programs and you guys don't like it, this is your time to get involved with us, and that's why I put it as an item on the agenda in writing, because I want written responses from all the counties, and we only got less than a third of them here, but we got to deal with the cards we're dealt, you know. So I appreciate the county boards that did give positive results and recommendation, and they're doing something and having meetings, and this should be an agenda item on their meetings to see, because there's some good public comments out there from ranchers to Indian rain dancers that might be able to help you, you know, and whatever helps, we need that input as this commission. So I want to thank the county boards for doing that, and that's the reason I put it on. Does any commissioner have any comments on that? If not, is there anybody from the public that want to comment on that? Go ahead, come on back up.
For the record, Paul Dixon, Clark County CAB. Chairman Lent, one of the things that we've been working with our district attorney down here and the air quality environment areas is that for agendized items that you guys have and put on things that are informational, they really don't want us taking an actionable point on things. There's some legalities that we're working through down here. Are you going to put this on as an actionable item in the December agenda?
No, you know, when this is an information item, and the reason for that is I want to get my thoughts out to you. And this is just, you know, giving you a direction. This is our thoughts, what this board wants to do, this commission, I think, and we're going to be working on it. And so we're just giving you a message that do something, just giving you an idea. And you don't need an action item on our agenda to take action. You could put it on your own agenda, deer survey or whatever you want to do. You could do it on your own. I'm not going to put it as an action item at this time. I want to get some more input, and we're working with the department on this. We're working with the county boards, and at some point, yeah, we're gonna start making some decisions on some of these things and see if there's anything we can help the department with. And we just got a deer biologist and working with him, and we got to work with the county boards. But I'm just stirring it up, so I tell the county boards, this is very important to this commission. Put it on your agenda and solve the problem for us.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Second thing is when you ask your series of questions of the various counties, I mean,
what's that?
When you ask your questions early on here for all the counties, you had your standard questions that you asked.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you.
When you ask all of the counties your questions here 10 minutes ago.
Ask all of which?
All of the various
cabs. I need a hearing aid, I guess.
Am I not making this clear?
No, I'm just having a hard time hearing. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You ask each of the cabs a series of questions that are here today. My point is that do you feel that when we give you a recommendation, we should be giving it for our county, or should we be giving it on our county? Because take Clark County, I mean, mule deer hunting in Clark County, it is not known for mule deer hunting. Right. People do not hunt Clark County for mule deer by and large. And if they did draw down here, I feel sorry for them. We would probably give you a recommendation on a state vision from Clark County versus other counties which have established herds and are actually doing management things. We would be more of a recommendation of what we think could be done in other counties. But as far as establishing mule deer herds in southern Nevada, I don't think that that's going to be high on our priority list just because of what we are. And the availability.
No, I understand that, but I'm particularly interested in your county, and then if you got any solutions for in the general, because most of the people in Clark County hunt up north anyway.
Yeah. Okay, that's all. I just want to make sure it was clear.
Thank you.
Question for
Commissioner Rain.
Yeah, you aware that in the
sheep range, there was some of the premier deer. There was some amazing deer in there for a while. It was open for 2 years until the deer were virtually extirpated from that area. Just right
I personally do not
over this
know
mountain.
of that. I mean, Commissioner Macbeth, who's lived here a lot longer than me, probably.
But the
can
history
speak to
is there has been some premier deer hunting, although at the very limited time, and the deer were extirpated from that area.
What I would say, Commissioner
So
Raines,
it does
is that
happen.
in the last 8 years, southern Nevada, the drought has probably been more severe on populations of large undulates than anywhere else in the state, although everywhere else has been impacted. But down here, I mean, from what I've seen since '97 to now, as far as, being, hunting small game and looking at that kind of things, it is amazing the loss of habitat down here, and it's strictly drought related. It's not even urbanization out there. It's just that there's no water, so everything has died. Without guzzlers, we wouldn't have a small game population, basically an upland bird population here to even hunt. So your question is, yes, there was, but I believe that in habitat space, and unless, like Chairman Lent said, we could do a rain dance and get a lot more rain down here, I don't see that we're going to change the habitat to even try to think about bringing mule deer
Actually,
back here.
at the time, there's documentation from the chief of game at the time that the reason for the extirpation was, actually in writing at the time, was because of mountain lions. But that was another situation, and that's been a while
Well,
ago.
that's a self-limiting thing. When mountain lions eat up all of their food supply, they go away too. So, I mean, it's depending on what they have. I mean, if you look at what we had for food supply for mountain lions, I mean, if mule deer was it, they would go for that, and with time, they would eat themselves out of house and home, which they probably did. But that's why we don't have a mountain lion problem, I don't believe, here in southern Nevada, other than cats and dogs that get it once in a while. Mike?
Commissioner Macbeth.
Thank you, Chairman Lent. Commissioner Rain is correct that there was a deer herd up on the sheep range. It was relatively limited. There's also some trophy areas that are probably adjacent to the Arizona Strip in Area 27 that also produce probably some very large mule deer, and I would assume on the north end towards the Mormons. But by and large, those are very, very limited, opportunities for southern Nevadans, and the vast majority of southern Nevadans do hunt in other counties. And I think that's probably the main message which Paul is moving on. But we can certainly, take a look down here, down south at any opportunities we have for mule deer. I would assume Charlie and Bruce and I can,
Well, that's what we're
also
asking.
help out on that as well.
Every little bit.
I want to make one comment. I think this, what Chairman Lent and the Commission are going to be doing here is an excellent process for bringing this issue to the Commission and to the Department. I'm on board. I do support it. I think this collaborative effort with the cabs is going to be a wonderful process. I think what's going to happen is that we're going to get some excellent ideas and we're going to get some best practices. And it isn't going to work for every single county. We can see that there's big differences between, Elko County and Clark County, for instance. But I think that this is going to be a great process to put forth a plan and a process that we can get some things done. So I do support it, Chairman Lent.
Thank you.